adjusting here. You're looking at NextRad towers. There's no confusion whenever you take energy and you direct it. If that purpose is to create and utilize a weapon, it is called a directed energy weapon. NextRad towers emit massive microwave and frequency bursts. They are in fact a directed energy weapon utilized to help manipulate the weather. They're also doing the DARPA of all things. For those who don't know what DARPA is, research it. You're tying in all the military's programs, and they're all under USAP, the United States Antarctica Project. It's like today, law enforcement has gone back to normal operations, although they do have a vehicle over to respond to those towers if need be. Good morning. That's one thing most people aren't paying attention to. Every single one of these programs and bioweapons, they're all part of the defense program. The military-industrial complex finances them. Well, taxpayers do. Your Office of Science and Technology, that's just another military-industrial complex. Your Department of Health and Human Services, well, that's where the military-industrial complex is pushing out all their bioweapons. So, your agencies themselves, that's why you can't get none of them to go after the United States military for poisoning our skies and using these weapons against us. Hey, nice. You can put people on timeout like little kids. It's real windy out today. Another kid put on timeout. This is awesome. Who's next? It's like we have to get through first grade. Let's get all the first graders out of the classroom. This is college. Just joining. These are NexRad towers. It's part of your military weather weapons system. If you're not aware of what HARP is, go read the book Angels Don't Play This Harp. We're at Oklahoma University, their North Campus, right next door to the airport. Wind's really kicking today. Still waiting on the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Come do their job. Doesn't look like Chris is going to do it. Enter a walker. All right, cue the walker and see what they do. Comes a walker. All right. Let's see how close you make it. That's neat. Come out here. If you come over here and you talk to me first, so far every time you're going to have the police roll up on you once you get to those buildings where you get. If you haven't talked to me, they'll bother you. Which is a weakness in their part if you think about it. Because all you got to do is bring someone out here that hasn't talked to you, that they've seen talk to you. We went around that whole security perimeter they got set up now. Got his arms spread out wide. Made it! Woohoo! Yeah, Zach, if you can, go check him out and get pictures. I'm starting to get pictures for some people. Sometimes it just takes time to break through that matrix. But anyone who's listening to this, go get pictures of the NextRad towers near you in your community. Some of you they're right in your backyard. You probably don't even know they're there. A lot of them are on airports. That's okay. Go to the airport and get pictures of them. You're allowed to go take pictures. Not breaking any laws. Just try not to cross through any restricted authorized areas while you're doing your recon. Tell Aaron I said hi. Yeah, I've got the street view pics too on that one. Then I know the Oroville NextRad in Northern California should be having some recon being done on it. And hopefully by the end of the day, we have like 5 or 6 different NextRads from across the United States that people have sent us pictures of. Not a Google Street View, but actually going out there and snapping a photo. Well, we can let the military know that the virus is spreading. That'd be great. Once people stop being afraid of these weapons and start going out and taking pictures and confronting these weapons, the tables have flipped on those who are using these weapons against us. Like Q know too. I was here last night, several hours, and filmed for like over an hour waiting on Q and the White Hats. They are going to come out here and destroy these. They're supposed to take a break from rescuing mole children from underground, but apparently there must have been a whole lot of trafficking mole children last night, so they couldn't make it. Maybe they'll make it tonight. We'll be here. We're going to keep filming these, drawing attention to them. And person by person, just like they infect you with their fake viruses and bioweapons, we're going to infect the people with the truth and keep speaking the truth. These are directed energy weapons that were utilized against our families in Western North Carolina. The Oklahoma City FBI has evidence of it. The governor's office knows. The senators know. The representatives know. We spent a month at the Capitol, going sometimes 3-4 days a week in and out of those offices, talking to people, letting them know that we were here on behalf of Western North Carolina families who survived weather weapon Helene. But we're not calling it a hurricane. It was a weather weapon. Hurricanes don't form and run all the way up into the North Carolina mountains. Weather weapons do. These NexRad towers that you see right here worked in conjunction with over 100 other NexRad towers, including ship units that are down in the Gulf of America, where they have the cloud seeding ships. And they have these towers built all over out there. Those of you that are living by a coast, take a picture of the towers that you got off of your beaches. Send us your photos. You can message them straight to 520-500-4506. Or send them to t.me/BorderWarsAZ. You can message the channel or go to info.vop, Victor October Paul, at protonmail.com. info.vop@protonmail.com. Get on your Google Earth, your DuckDuck Earth, your Bing Earth. Put Doppler radar near me. And if there's one near you, it's going to pop up. They haven't removed that yet, that feature for the searches, so you still can actively search for NexRads near you. Now, it's really neat if you go and you put in a city, and you just put in Chicago, and then you look for NexRads in Chicago, it'll show you the NexRads that are in Chicago. You have to go do the research, and I don't know if they have the whole list with all the coordinates put up like we were doing with the Arizona trafficking routes. Some of the stuff that we did providing information to the public never really went anywhere, and we spent a lot of time and effort on that. I don't know where anyone's at, if any of you guys running our other channels have anything going. I know I don't right now. I'm not writing out any list right where the Lord has me. These directed energy weapons were utilized against our families in Western North Carolina. The governor's refusing to provide justice. Legislative body, the Senate, the House Representatives, local law enforcement. Oklahoma University Police have added security measures to protect these towers, these directed energy weapons that the United States military utilizes to manipulate the weather systems that they formulate through stratospheric aerosol injections and HARP. This is like the steering wheel of the car. We want to take the steering wheel off, so they can't drive their weather weapon system no more. Now, if somebody wants to go up and eliminate the giant motor called HARP, that'd be a great effective way to shut this weather system down. But if enough people in the public start threatening the weapons they built in the infrastructure of the civilian population, they might just halt it. They've had to shut this program down several times in the past because members of the public were getting word of it and they were getting unrest. There was a threat of civilian revolt. And if we can get enough people, including law enforcement, that'll stand up and say, no, we're not letting you play God with the weather, not in our backyard. It just takes one sheriff to have a pair of balls. We was hoping Chris in Cleveland County would be that sheriff, but it doesn't look like he has a pair. I don't know why. I mean, his deputy chief confirmed with me that they have more authority than the feds. They can actually do more for my investigation that the FBI is stalling on than the FBI can do. Sheriff's Department can come out here right now and shut this entire campus down. Evidence of crimes have been submitted to the DOJ. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is failing to act upon it. Now, Chris has a duty to protect everyone in Cleveland County. There's going to be a lot of angry people, man. They find out that all these residents out here are defending directed energy weapons that was used to murderize those Appalachian boys. You definitely don't want those family members and those country folk coming out here, getting out of those mountains, coming down here to start something. So Chris isn't thinking about his constituents. No matter what, the only way to solve the problem is to tear these towers down. Shut the program down right now. That's enough for make us happy for right now. They don't have to get a crane out here and start dismantling the towers just yet. But kill the power to every next rad tower. Shut the entire network down so it's not functioning. We're better off not getting warnings when those warnings are tied with the very weapons that generated the need for those warnings. That's what the military's done. They've embedded weapons technology inside of civilian infrastructure. It's on your cell towers, it's in your smart meters, it's in your cell phones. Some of these directed energy weapons. When people talk about 5J, weapons frequency, HARP itself, it's all frequency based. This is nothing new. This is Tesla technology. And Tesla wasn't the one who invented it. He just rediscovered it. This technology has been known for civilizations before Tesla even walked the earth and was thought about. This is nothing new. It might be new to some people who weren't aware of it, just like it was new to me when I found out about it. But I didn't have any problem believing that the United States military, that this government would play God with the weather when they've already told you that they're doing it. They told you back in the 1916. They told you when, Lyndon Johnson was giving the commencement speech at the university and was bragging about how they control the world's cloud stratosphere and he who controls the weather controls the world. So, I've seen these people say with their own mouths. I read what Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted after weather weapon Helene hit. She don't care about those North Carolina victims out there. She literally acknowledged and told everybody, yeah, it's true. The military can control the weather. Of course they can manipulate the weather. Of course they can. She confirmed it. That didn't do North Carolina families any good who lost their homes and lost their loved ones and are living in fear right now that these towers are going to be activated against them again. That didn't help them. Bobby Kennedy Jr., before he was selected to be a part of the Trump administration, talking about chemtrails. We will end these crimes. They made Americans think the minute Trump got into office, it was all over, man. You don't got no more poison in your food. That's not true. Hell, they're having studies right now and debating it on the news, trying to let people know how bad red dye 40 and all those other cancer-causing chemicals that are banned in other countries. They're slowly red pilling the people to let them know that it's bad instead of just eliminating them. It's still in your food right now, and they know that we are being intentionally poisoned with these chemicals as part of something greater, a larger experiment. That's why the United States military-industrial complex have gone much further with their biological, their chemical weapons, and their weather weapon system, because they've got a willful population that's ignorant, kept ignorant, and they keep voting for kings and queens who aren't going to do a single thing to protect them from the weapons you're looking at right now. It's insane. They know. They all know. The FBI knows. They know. Literally, I've done every single thing I told the FBI agents I was going to do. The only thing I haven't done yet is shut down one of these towers. That's like the only thing I haven't done yet. That tower right there. That'd be an easy one to get to. The other one's easy to get to, too. But we remember when we shut down most of you might not know this, Beale Air Force Base, Snyder Gate. We shut that gate down on 2 occasions. The last time I went alone, and law enforcement swooped in, and they civilly committed me, put me on a 5150 hold. When the hospital said, this guy's not crazy, we're not abiding by a 72-hour law. They were supposed to hold me by 72 hours, but if the hospital feels that I shouldn't be in there, they're not obligated to hold me any longer than they feel is necessary. So the hospital automatically was trying to get me released, and the sheriff's department was scrambling to find some way to get a criminal charge against me for standing on a public easement with my camera. It wasn't my fault that people were scared to drive off of their base. If they weren't poisoning our skies, if they weren't working against the American people and committing treason, they wouldn't be afraid to drive off that base. I was getting the pictures of every pilot, everyone in a flight uniform. Then they started wearing hoodies over their clothes, so you couldn't catch the ones that were in military uniform, but I'd already seen so many of them by then and recognized the vehicles. So we've seen what the government will do. They will move in. They will move in once you become a threat that they can no longer contain. It's a little bit different now. God gave me a gift at Beale Air Force Base, so I'm never alone, even when I'm sitting right here. That's it. I'm not afraid. There are people saying, why haven't you gone and do it then? You're just all talk. You're doing this. Look, I've shown you people over the years, and we built many programs and templates. And the one thing I'm not is I'm not a fool. And I know how to do a mission and an operation. And I know what I'm fighting against. I'm fighting against willful ignorance of an American population. A majority of you out there don't even want to know the truth. You don't even want to know the truth. So I'm the last guy you want to listen to. If you want to stay in your little la-la land, I'm not here to disrupt you. If you have peace, God bless you. Very grateful that you have peace. Sorry about that. Flip that over. Samantha, if you're hearing this, Lynn's trying to get a hold of you. Great news, too. Finally, after a month, got responses for the judges for Operation Wipe Tears. For those of you people out there, you're paying attention to what's going on in Massachusetts. That's where Christopher is headed up to right now instead of coming here. Family had their 5 children taken. Homeschooling family doesn't want to vaccinate it. Same type of situation with Samantha, where you have people moving in thinking they're doing what's best for children, whether they be doctors or someone that's following criminals on Facebook. It don't matter. But there's been progress made, praise God. The judges actually, after the filings for her citing the judge and the clerk, she has 14 days to get her paperwork in to get a hearing set before the judge. And this is related to the kidnapping of Ida Rose and Aurelius, several years ago in Oklahoma. Now, all across the United States, I'm going to switch gears just for a minute here. The CPS problem has not even been touched by this administration. And I want to explain something. Right before COVID hit, everything I'm saying is true. God knows I'm telling the truth. A friend of mine was with President Trump in the White House, handed President Trump information related to the Sarah Ybarra Johnson, the Miss Melissa Deagle families. Over 3 dozen families in Arizona had their children targeted and kidnapped by the state. Over 3 dozen. And the collusion was all proved. These people all worked together. The messages showed they were all working together. And a great patriot by the name of John Shattuck, who fought for the Gallagher, the guy that was in prison related to something he did in Afghanistan or Iraq. Gallagher. John Shattuck was his advocate. He took that information related to how Child Protective Services was the biggest child trafficking operation currently happening in the United States, even to this day. Now, he first met with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Everything I'm saying is true, and it all can be fact-checked by White House logs. If anybody and you journalists out there want to actually investigate, instead of saying I'm just some tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, I'm telling the truth. So go prove me wrong. So John Shattuck had met with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, and just the way they reacted when receiving and hearing about the information He told me, he's like, I didn't trust him. For some reason, I had to go tell Trump. So I got a chance to go and give him the envelope personally. It's a manila envelope with all the evidence that he had collected from 36 families that had their children trafficked. Now, when Trump got that information, he said he was going to look into it, is what he told John. And then within a month, the COVID scandemic hit, and no one heard anything about it. Now, since then, we've lost one of the fighters, Sarah Ybarra Johnson. We lost her. She's since passed on. And we don't know whether it was suicide. We don't know what actually occurred other than she was in pain. And she was alone at the time. And she was escaping pain. And, you know, and she's made attempts before. She fought for years. And it was one of those moms that no one just wanted to advocate for. Maybe they don't look like a certain way or talk like a certain way, or you don't think they should be a mom, you know? So, and these families that are having their rights literally stripped from them, their children kidnapped from them, these families have no one to advocate for them because people are just looking for a clean-cut, cookie-cutter case. That's it. They want something easy, fast, and simple. So I appreciate you, John, for getting that information to Donald Trump. I appreciate you for knowing not to trust Jared and Ivanka. Many reasons why we can't trust those two, you know. And I appreciate you for caring about the families. And I'm hoping that you're going to go on mainstream media and confirm everything that I just told my subscribers and ask for justice for Sarah Ybarra Johnson. Let's get these children back home to their families that are still alive. Let's let America know how Arizona was caught red-handed, trafficking children, targeting children. And to this date, we just caught Illinois trafficking a child before he was born, the Carson Ritchie case, where a caseworker already had a foster parent lined up to take that child from the mother the minute the child was born. The system itself, the administration's not touching, and you have to ask yourself why. Is CPS not the largest child trafficking organization in the United States of America? Do they not profit off of ripping families apart? They make money for putting children into the system. Now, I grew up in the system. Praise God he got a hold of me, because a lot of people that grew up in the system, man, they were the old me. They still are the old me. And these children, if they don't get help, they're going to become the old me. And we just hope that Jesus gets a hold of them to make them a new them. But you're going to have to replace CPS. And the solution to the problem is right there in front of you guys. We have churches all over the United States of America. Most of them have restrooms and showers in them. They got plenty of room, offices that can be converted. Almost all of them have a kitchen to cook. I mean, we have churches all over America right now that could be moving in to intervene and assist families and bring in God to the problem. That's the only solution. Get the government out of the way. You get God back inside of the family. And how many people who don't even believe in God but are so desperate to keep their children, they're willing to give God another second chance, another second look at maybe. And you can catch these people at these moments and not only advance the kingdom of heaven, but prevent our children from going into the system. If you don't have an infrastructure that's equivalent to what the government has to taking care of the children who are with bad parents and who do need rescued from those homes. I was in a home like that. If you don't have that infrastructure to replace what CPS provides, that they profit from, they count on you not utilizing the infrastructure you already have, and that is with the churches. And there's a lot of nonprofits out there, and they do Christ-like things, but they don't believe in God, and they want to say, you know, we're not religious, we don't believe in God. But you see them feeding the homeless, you see them building homes for veterans that are disabled, you see them checking on the elderlies, you see them going to prison and visiting inmates. They're doing more Christ-like things than some of our churches are doing right now. So the infrastructure is a lot bigger when you look at what's already available for all these entities that say they want to save our children. Well, then shut up and start saving our children. You're not going to save our children by attacking a beast system when you haven't even provided an alternative. That's where the government's getting you. You have to take the responsibilities that come with the exercising of your rights. And when you give those responsibilities to the government, they're going to exploit it. And they're going to profit off of the problem. And as long as the problem's there, the government has a purpose. Because you've given them that problem. We're asking people to give these problems to God. Before I switch back on the NextRad towers, that's just, that was an update on Operation Wipe Tears. I'm very serious. If anyone is serious about organizing the network that's already there, then get a hold of me, 520-500-4506. Because the minute you have an alternative infrastructure, we can go past hiding families in our Safe House program, shielding children from government tyrants who would separate them from their parents. I mean, we can move past that, and we can bring everything out into the open. Is where it all should be. We don't want to be having all these great works God is doing to be forced into the dark. We don't mind keeping things in secret hand for our Lord. Still pray to him in secret. I've literally snuck off of my knees, you know, like in the kitchen just recently, for example, because I didn't want to get caught praying. So I try to just go in there and sneak. It's not that I'm embarrassed that they're going to see me praying. You know, it's just like, it's okay to have those secret hand things. It's okay to run an underground railroad and a safe house program. But we need to bring all these problems into the light so the Lord can show everyone the proper methodology of eliminating these problems and implementing his solution. How do we keep these families together? So once again, if you're interested, Operation Wipe Tears, that's headed up by my wife Samantha. And you can reach us at 520-500-4506. God is really good. We want to appreciate the judges in Oklahoma for doing the right thing. And we should have updates. There's a 14-day notice that she has to reply. And we're just very grateful. The judge refused to dismiss, you know, the other side. He overruled all their objections and dismissals. So that case is going to be heard at some point on the record. A jury already decided that. And if you're interested in the common law jury and ways to get your children back to fight, to hold the system accountable, Operation Wipe Tears, you know, Samantha's got a great private attorney and great advocates, and there's a good network there. So if you want to wipe the tears of all these mommies and daddies that are missing their babies and these little ones that are missing their mommies and daddies, get a hold of us, 520-500-4506. We're seeing activity. It's lunchtime. Got people pulling out. If you're just tuning in, you're looking at NextRad installation towers, Oklahoma University up here at the Weather Command Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Currently waiting on Cleveland County Sheriff's Office to respond. I am an independent investigative journalist currently cooperating with the Oklahoma City FBI, who's dragging their feet on evidence that I brought to them from North Carolina, including my testimony, that proves without a doubt that the NextRad tower installation was utilized to steer Weather Weapon Helen up into Appalachian territory, and the motives are to get to the lithium, the finest quartz in the world, the purest that they have out there. And Asheville itself slated, signed up to become a smart city. Since Weather Weapon Helen is hit, over 220 Buncombe County property owners, that's where we did our disaster response, over 220 of them have given up their lands. FEMA told them they couldn't rebuild their businesses. You guys that were with us paying attention down there when we were on Swananoa River, you saw the custom shop, the bike shop. You saw what happened to them. Condemned, you're not allowed to rebuild. So what do? They allowed Idaho to come down and start building tiny homes. Then the county went in and said, nope, you're not allowed to do that either. You're not permanent for it. It's condemned. None of these businesses and none of the property owners that were affected by Weather Weapon Helen have seen their property returned. Now, under the Biden administration, obviously FEMA was snatching all the land up as quick as they possibly could. BlackRock's invested out there, Vanguard. You got to remember Doug Emhoff, Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, his BlackRock investments. They got a lot of money in that Piedmont mining operation that's going on out there. They want that lithium. None of these property owners under this administration has seen their property returned to them. None of them are getting any of the help that should have started coming from FEMA. And in fact, if they do a quick dismantling of FEMA, they just covered up the entire crime. There was a land grab that took place, and we're here on behalf of Western North Carolina. We expect Sheriff Chris to get down here of Cleveland County because he knows that these weapons were utilized to steer that weather weapon up into that area. I'm at the scene of a crime right now where directed energy weapons are being utilized. These towers are activated. And because they're activated and the FBI has received a non-consent from myself and a researcher whistleblower, Miss Lori Kramer, we were the first two to go and meet with the Oklahoma City FBI to provide them the research, the data, the evidence, and to file official complaints saying we do not consent to the military's use of chemical agents, biological agents, and directed energy weapons against us. We delivered our non-consent, which Title 50 of the PrEP Act has 3 subsections, and one of the subsections, 1520A, authorizes the United States military to deploy these weapons you're looking at and the sky poisons that you see every day and the other chemical and biological nanotechnology weapons that they're utilizing against America. They're LRAD systems that are built up on your cellular towers. They're built-in technology, directed energy weapons. Title 50, the PrEP Act that authorizes them, is now in violation because informed non-consent has been delivered by 2 United States citizens to the Oklahoma City FBI 3 weeks ago. They have not done anything to shut down these towers. The military has been notified that non-consent has been delivered, so by federal law, they are supposed to shut down these weather weapons. But they're not doing it. When we're counting on Cleveland County Sheriff to get out here, we've been asking people to call 911. You can call 911. I've done it myself. Others have been calling 911. You can call the non-emergency line if you want. Cleveland County, Oklahoma. We want the sheriff to get out here to acknowledge to the community on camera that there is, in fact, an FBI investigation, complaints that were received regarding these weapons utilized against our families in Western North Carolina, that I have been reporting honestly, and that they are, in fact, instructed to protect these weapons. And should I move and run towards these towers, they are instructed to detain me and arrest me for trespassing. And we want the sheriff to come out and notify everyone in Western North Carolina and everyone in this community. We want him to notify them that he is under orders to protect the military weapons that are being used against us. So that no one can say that every avenue was not tried. We've done everything. Governor Stitt, we got a question to him off script. He's really upset at us. Then we gave him notice last week. We said we're destroying the towers. And people are a little bit upset because the towers are still standing. But you're not even paying attention. For the first time in United States history, the American people, since Britain, since they went after the British cannons and the British armories that were on this soil when the Revolutionary War started, this is the first time that American patriots have stood out to take out military equipment. We notified Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. I talked to the deputy chief last week that I was going to be running simulation attacks. I don't know how long they'll be. You know, I said, I know it's going to be over the weekend. And since we have some people, whether it's cold feet or there's more important things to do, they're a little delayed in getting here. So we're just going to stay posted up doing our part until they can get here so we can run the other simulation attacks. How do you shut these weapons down? And as we are trying to show the public as part of the VOP news special, there are multiple ways that you can eliminate these towers. We want to find the ways you can destroy them without causing harm to life. One way that you can shut these towers down without even harming the property itself is to occupy the tower. So if you had 50-something people just hanging on, that tower and climbing up there and hanging out, well, safety protocol would demand that they would have to turn those towers off. So if you have NextRad towers across the United States of America, and say that we get like 10 or 12 of them on the same day, and people casually walk up unarmed, they ain't carrying flags or signs, there ain't no point in that. You got to climb. And then they occupied the tower. Now, the only risk is, what if these sick SOBs playing God with the weather decides they're going to see what this new experiment would do and what a micro frequency at some gauge blasting upon them. Let's see how the body reacts to this. You're literally playing with psychopaths that play God with the weather, that are watching all these farms flooded and destroyed, businesses wiped out, homes, generations, families, churches lost, bridges gone, completely gone, all over America. These psychopaths are playing God with the weather. That's what they're doing. So what do? Well, if you want to help us right now, there's over 144 of you watching. I need you to call 911 and tell them independent investigative journalist Michael Lewis Arthur Meyer is at the site, the Norman facility, the Weather Command Center at Oklahoma University, with his camera pointed at directed energy weapons that are still being utilized. They're active right now. They're poisoning our skies. So I can explain to law enforcement when they get out here what those little ripple clouds are and how the frequencies work and what HAARP's really about. We can give them information that they already know, but we can do it on camera so then they can't go and say they don't know. There's so many of you right now, and I'm talking to you that are in highway patrol out here, Oklahoma City Capitol. I mean, there's a captain out there, and I love you, and you're great, and you know I'm doing the right thing. And you guys say, keep pushing. Just be careful. Keep pushing. Just be careful. That don't really do much for me. That might give me a tiny little boost at the moment, but the fact that I got into this knowing when we went to Beale Air Force Base, some of the most fearless people I knew, they got scared shitless when we shut down the gates at Snyder Base. And they literally shut down that gate and no more traffic was going in and out. They got scared. They saw it was the real deal. They're like, oh, wow, they're really doing it. So we may have that issue with some people. But, Chris, I'm not going anywhere. You can come down and deputize me, and I will go onto this campus, and I will safely evacuate everybody. And then I will accommodate all those cruisers that you're utilizing to generate revenue through speeding traps. We don't need them running those no more. We need those cruisers to block the roads going on and off this Weather Command Center. And we need those bodies. Instead of out generating revenue, we need them to shut this campus down. And after we get this one, we need to go to the next one right up on the other side. We got to go over to that one too. But let's focus on one thing at a time. We're asking the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, who has received, and it's not lying, it would be against the law for me to be out here doing this, putting the public into a panic based on false information. This would be violated. I'm pretty sure they got some law out there that would prevent this. They've got 40,000 something laws every year. They never make laws that will protect us from the military's poisons or sky poisons. Every state legislation that has been passed, every one of these quote-unquote ban on chemtrails. I talked to these senators and representatives myself. I told them, and they told me. I look right at them, you're not going to be able to enforce this. We know. It's the FAA. The FAA has federal authority over the skies. The most we can do is keep their geoengineering projects from coming into our state and keep their facilities. But they're lying to you again. You can't do that. You can't do it. Look at Oklahoma University. One of the biggest reasons why they wanted to kill SB 430, that was the Senate Bill 430 you saw me ask the governor about at the press conference that they killed. This is a $1.8 billion endowment university, and their weather weapons research program that Oklahoma University is doing out here, that's the biggest pie of their budget. And if you were to ban stratospheric aerosol injections, then these next rad towers have no storms to manipulate. And then there it goes. You can't run your space program no more, your directed energy weapon laser program no more, your chemical sky poison program no more. You can't run any of those functions. And then they can't take American taxpayer dollars to experiment on us with. See, the sheriff right now has the constitutional duty to uphold an oath. And he's more than welcome to come out right now and tell everyone that's listening and watching that I'm lying, that I'm crazy. Because if I am, he needs to slap handcuffs on me in front of everybody and say, this guy's lying, he's making all this up. That was just a normal storm that hit North Carolina. Just a coincidence. Doug Emhoff has his investments in there, and then the investment increased. Man, how did that guy know that storm was going to hit that area? Just a big coincidence that the military's been admitting to manipulating the weather, playing God with the weather for over a century. Don't listen to him citing Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump, who admitted that we're being sprayed with stuff that they don't spray in other countries. And we are, because the United States military is far ahead of the other nations, but they're all cooperating together. Americans, you're the guinea pig. You're the guinea pig. We're the guinea pigs. They put us up as a sacrifice on the altar so they can play God with the weather. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple people that walked up on that tower right there too. Scheduled maintenance, or is people moving in to occupy it? Who knows? I would hope for occupation, but I would tell you right now, don't count on that just yet. Now they're going to have to come out with some smoke screen right now. Oklahoma University is very upset, and they should be. Every one of you Sooner fans out there, your university was responsible for the death, murder, and mayhem that occurred on the East Coast on September 27th, when weather weapon Helen, which was formed in the Gulf of America, was steered all the way up to western North Carolina, steered by NEXRAD tower installation units, just like these towers. And if you look on the map when it was steered, you can see the Norman, Oklahoma NEXRADs were in fact activated. So I'm at a site where they activated a NEXRAD 2. And this was the furthest west of the grid that these towers were activated to steer this storm. So we are at the backbone. Oklahoma's the weather capital of the nation. Some say the weather capital of the world. Weather modification, geoengineering, what we call the weather weapons system, United States military, their Antarctica project. This is all funded by American taxpayers and the United States military. The United States military oversees it all. Do you honestly think the Air Force would let foreign entities spray poisons in our skies? Put barium and aluminum and fungus and mold and bacteria and viruses, even those are just genetically modified diseases that they make to attack the body's immune system. I mean, they're spraying us with so many, it's insane when you look at the list. It's just like when I look and see what they're injecting children with when they're born these days, and you look at the list of ingredients and how many of those bioweapons that these poor little kids are getting jabbed with. You're not going to see Bobby Kennedy do anything to eliminate vaccines. They're advancing the mRNA with AI technology. They've already started mass production of the next bioweapon. The United States military has. So you're not going to see an elimination and a time where we go all the way back to where there were no vaccines. And a time where there also weren't that many illnesses and sicknesses. And the body was able to heal itself rapidly without having all these invasive procedures and taking all these cocktails that are full of poisons. I mean, come on. How long has it been since they've been in office? And you're seeing a mainstream media push today talking about the red dye 40 in foods. Come on, guys. Yeah, they said they was going to release the Epstein list. I can tell you right now, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel is compromised, and that's from the local FBI agents out here in Oklahoma City. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is compromised. They are not going to touch what the military has done, and they're going to continue redacting and concealing a lot of the Mossad connections that are actually with Jeffrey Epstein because of what this administration currently has a push for. I'm not supposed to say anything bad about Israel, for example. So if I do that, then I'm an anti-Semite. Now, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And was he not crucified as the King of the Jews? So how could I be an anti-Semite when I bow and worship at the feet of my Lord and Savior? But if you report on what Israel has been doing, the Mossad, we showed you where they were involved with invading us at the border. Everyone knows what they did on 9/11 with our military. They know what they did to the USS Liberty. And people are just now finding out that Israel has technology embedded in our towers. And it's like we have military equipment from other foreign nations embedded in our soils, in our infrastructure. So Israel is working with the United States. They're the lead research nations for the weather weapon system. That's what they are. I mean, they're top two dogs right there. You know, and we're kind of like that whore riding the beast straight to her destruction, having no idea. The American people are so clueless. They have no idea. They weren't paying attention when COVID and everybody was locked down. Do you know how fast they put directed energy weapons? There were thousands of directed energy weapons installed all over the United States of America. Remember, Uniscorp beat out Raytheon for the technology, for the patents, and for the installations of these next-rad towers. You know, and that's just because Raytheon's been catching so much heat as more people are paying attention and they're finding out, well, who's involved with poisoning us? Who's experimenting on us with chemical agents, biological agents? Who's using directed energy weapons against us? Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics. In fact, if you look over on this unit right there, it's got the General Dynamics logo, the NOAA. You can go all the way around. We have it posted on our news channel, t.me/Border Wars AZ. Now, these are all FAA, obviously. Oh, here we go. Now there we go. They're coming to do just coming to drive by and check. It's only like the third time I've seen them come by. The other day, they were parked up under these trees right here in the grass. But right now, that's Oklahoma. That's Norman, Oklahoma University Police Department. They've been patrolling and protecting the towers because we're running simulations. We're running attack simulations against these directed energy weapons. And we always operate safely here with VOP. So law enforcement was notified. The governor was notified. The senators were notified. Representatives were notified. We spent over a month at the Capitol in Oklahoma City doing our best to try to get answers as to why SB 430 was killed. And SB 430 was killed because of these towers I'm sitting at right now. If they put a ban on geoengineering and that law can be enforced, then they would have to move the university's program onto a military installation. You can ban it in Tennessee, but you can't stop the military from doing what they're doing on their bases, so the program's still going to go. If you ban it in Oklahoma, then the universities, like this one, University of Oklahoma, well, then they're no longer allowed to participate in the quote-unquote cloud seeding. All right? Yes, it is cloud seeding. They're making weather systems. They're making them, creating them. And that's what your stratospheric aerosol injections, that most of you know as chemtrails, that's what they are for. And they have more than one purpose. While they're trying to manipulate the weather, they're also putting nanotechnology up there. And we are all slowly absorbing this nanotechnology. So if you're listening to my voice, get you some Mullen, eat a lot of cilantro, turmeric, and black pepper. Some of these things will help protect you and get these metals and poisons. Activated charcoal. I got a bunch of my natural meds right here in my pack. You want to take those and just keep purging your body of this nanotechnology and of the poisons you're choking on. Because if you do nothing to counter that while you're acknowledging you're being poisoned, and your body knows you're being poisoned and you're not doing nothing to heal it, and you're sending your body the wrong message. So, and if you're just new to this and you're kind of shocked that the military has been playing God with the weather, well, God bless you. Ain't no fault. There's millions of people that are like you used to be. Don't be discouraged. There were people decades ago trying to fight this. Lori Kramer went to the FBI with me. So I have taken a credible source to research it, and she's had threats against her life. Dane Wigington was the one who plagiarized her research, which is why when I talk about controlled opposition, I tell people there are three types. They're going to control you without knowing they're controlling you, that they're being used to control you, and they're just trying to generate something for themselves. They're going to control you, and they know they're controlling you, but they're really not trying to help the military, but they're still trying to benefit and profit. And as long as the problem is there, then they're going to be able to keep selling t-shirts and having podcasts talking about the problem. Then you have the ones that are actively working with the military, and they'll have hundreds of thousands of followers, and their job is to keep their followers sending money to lawsuits that go nowhere, sending money to buy merchandise, sending money to get a new podcast radio show, sending money to get new air testing to prove what's already been proven 10 times over. And as long as the problem perpetuates, the military is still in control of the hundreds of thousands of people who are wanting answers. Part of this operation is to cripple all those controlled outlets. Every one of those controlled opposition outlets. Their followers need to know that they can do more than sue, because suing's going to do nothing. They can do more than go to the politicians. We've shown you politicians are going to do nothing. You can go and you can do an attack simulation on directed energy weapons while you're educating the public. Grab your phone. Just notify the local law enforcement like we have. And be truthful. We're running simulations. I will be able to coherently speak every simulation as to how this weapon you're looking at can be taken out. One, without causing harm to property, and dozens of ways where the property literally gets it fafoed, is what happened. Now, we don't want any of that violence. It's not even necessary. What's necessary is for people to stop talking about these problems and start targeting the problems. We don't need no more talk. We don't need another weekly podcast about we don't need that. That's what the enemy wants you to do, and that's what controlled opposition wants you to do. They want you to fight back in ways where you're attached to the system, seeking the system to provide a solution. The system cannot exist if that solution is provided. So you're attached to poison without even realizing it. You have to think outside of the box. You go tell your local cops you're getting your group together and you're not just waving flags talking about sky poisons no more. You go tell them we're getting together. We're going to be measuring. We're going out with camera equipment. We're going out. Now, what we want to do here in Oklahoma, I'll give you guys some ideas. It's easy to go to Walmart. We got a tight budget with VOP. So, and it's easy to go to Walmart and we can make a bazooka and spend like $5 making a realistic looking bazooka, and then bring the bazooka out and run a simulation with our cameras rolling where we do a mock simulation where a bazooka is shot at that directed energy weapons. We can even bring out loud sound effects to make a missile sound firing off and allow boom. I'll check on the firework ordinance. Might even be able to let one of those off, and if we haven't been warned, they don't have nothing posted, then I guess we get one warning, so we'll ask for forgiveness later. But there are many things that you can do that people say, that's crazy, that's too radical. That's what you should do. How did Jesus feel when he walked up into our Father's temple and saw that they were profiting, that they had done turned something that's a free gift for the world and to try and make money off of it? You got a right to be pissed off right now if you're listening to my voice, especially if you're in North Carolina. That's why we're sitting here right now. We promised you that we would go and confront these weapons, and we would do it smart. And so far, we've done it smart. We're going to keep doing it smart. Everything we're doing is lawful. And everything I said, you guys can go on the news channel and see. That's Governor Stitt saying he has no plans to declare an emergency session, even though he knows the military is using chemical agents, biological agents, and directed energy weapons against us. That's the governor of Oklahoma, who loves to quote Joshua, "As for me and my house, we serve the Lord." Well, a brother in Christ went to him and said, "Hey, Stitt, the military's doing this." And he just lost his farm, Stillwater, the quote-unquote wildfires. And I know he knows. Look, I know Stitt knows. He knows that all the wildfire resources, all the forest management infrastructure was moved far away from where the fire struck. So when the fire struck, they had no local resources, and the directed energy weapons that sent those loose, well, they were able to get a lot of devastation up there around Stillwater and run a little test. And for all I know, the military did that to Stitt because we've been in his office several times talking about what the military did to North Carolina. And maybe they're scared Governor Stitt. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to protect Oklahoma. Maybe that's why he wants to keep all of you in North Carolina afraid, knowing these weapons can be used against you at any point in time. Maybe he's afraid because the United States military used a directed energy weapon against him. They sure as hell conveniently had all the force management service, all the rapid response, everything completely gone. Whole infrastructure rearranged. Directed energy weapon hits, wildfires are everywhere, and no infrastructure to put them out. But no, it's just a conspiracy, right, Stitt? You know, that dude knows. Same thing for Chris, our sheriff out here. He knows. He knows the military's utilizing these weapons to control the weather. Remember when they were going to occupy Area 51? They were going to storm it. Man, and there was a Facebook group, and that scared them. I mean, it's not too many times I've seen the government, these people, these powers that be that actually get scared. The system where it reacts to something that they know it's almost out of the control. You know? And they definitely didn't want that, because that's actually the people's land. And if thousands of people showed up and just stormed those gates and went over there unarmed, and I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to get those soldiers to shoot down and mow down thousands of people being filmed, live streamed, as they're storming Area 51. So that was a genuine concern when that came out, and they did a good job of hijacking that. They did a good job of getting enough disruption and confusion and pushback and corruption from within. Man, they did a great job. That scared them. Right now, if you want to put fear in the United States military for poisoning your children, for utilizing weapons against you and your loved ones, for betraying you, you should go to a NextRad tower installation that's in your area. They're all over America. They're all over. Just Google Doppler radar. You're going to see some. You might have 2 or 3 in your city. They're all over. Drive out to the location and get a picture. Send us the picture. Send it to info.vop@protonmail.com so we could put a list of all the other counties where the NextRad towers have people going out to put eyes on them. The fact that you would get off your butt and go take a picture is going to actually make them nervous. That's going to make them nervous. That is something that's going to make them nervous. You did something they didn't expect you to do. You should be able to just sit down in your comfy little home and do everything from your phone and change the world from your sofa. That's what they want you to think, and that's where they want you to be. Do something crazy, like get off your butt and make a trip over to your airport or to your military installation or to a university or to a state land area. Anywhere they have a NextRad tower, go and see how close you can get to it. Take pictures of the signs. I got the one, there's 2 of them out there and that I got out of Washington from Zach. One of them has a no trespassing sign. The other one doesn't have a no trespassing sign. All this information is kind of important. Go get it. And then show the military that you're not only paying attention to what's going on, but you're actively going after their weapons. Yeah, I spoke with someone else that's worked inside those towers, and I have a great description too, you know. And the technology, yeah, you know, they're Tesla towers. That's how I've always referred to them to people. They're Tesla towers, you know. And the question is, can this technology be utilized to pull free energy out and distribute it for the people? Can the technology they're using to murder us be used to benefit us? Is there a way to salvage this technology, alter it in some fashion to where it's no longer used to manipulate the weather systems, but they're used to provide energy and healing to the people. I mean, who knows? I mean, the more people start looking at the NextRad functions and its capabilities, and they dig in and they realize, wow, this thing has far more capabilities than what's even being reported. And what's being reported, most people haven't even absorbed that. They think these bubbles are just, they give you a warning if a storm is coming. And if it was just that simple, then we'd have a whole lot of people still alive in Western North Carolina, and all that land that was stolen that this administration won't return, well, that land would have never been stolen. But the fact of the matter is that these are directed energy weapons themselves. Anytime you are taking energy and directing it, and because this is part of a weather weapons system, these are classified as directed energy weapons without being classified as directed energy weapons. So we just call them what they are. Yeah, and I would say, Love, just so you know, the evidence has already been handed over to the FBI. It's irrefutable. It has many purposes. That in itself, what you're saying with it, you know, the weather alert system, that's crucial. That's important, especially when the military is playing God with the weather. Now imagine if we can't get an advance warning on a hurricane they're going to send up into North Carolina mountains again. You know? It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, you're cut on both sides of this thing. Now, what the people can do is take the rights they have, exercise the responsibilities that come with those rights. We have a right to clear skies, you know, poison-free air. But we have a responsibility to deliver our non-consent when politicians in D.C. gave the military our consent without asking us. But they feel because everyone voted for them that we in fact did authorize them to provide the military leeway to poison us and use weapons against us. That's another good point. Social Security, birth certificate. We have God-given rights. Rights that don't come from government. Period. And whether or not you're listening to me and you believe in God and know Jesus, one, I hope you will get to know him. You can talk to me about him anytime you want. But your rights don't come from government. Your rights don't come from a king. Your rights come from our Creator. People didn't think we had a right to run attack simulations on military equipment, but we're at it now, going on 4 days. 4 days we've been causing a ruckus out here. And it hasn't amped up. It stayed really, really quiet and low-key. God's pretty much deciding what's going to happen when it happens. And it'll build. Each day, more and more people are talking about that crazy chemtrail guy out at the university screaming about directed energy weapons. Good. We want people to go research. If you get stuck down looking out the rabbit hole of what's going on with me, that's because you've already got feds that are dragging you off in some direction, or you never really cared about getting rid of these weapons to begin with. You know? Don't ever worry about the messenger. Worry about the message. The message we're delivering is true. The United States military utilized these NextRad installations. And it repelled, along with over 100 others, and steered Helen up into Western North Carolina. There's a lot of people that were on a need-to-know basis that are just now finding out. They didn't know before, but they're starting to put two and two together. So we're hoping that people inside this campus will become emboldened, because the rumor has already started, and the rumor's true. So we've already implanted a truth at this campus. They're seeing the way security is. I'm pretty sure security's talking about it. The way this plays out is the longer you occupy them, you slowly grow. Within the campus, there are going to be people that are cheering me on out here, hoping that I can shut this down, not even worrying about if they lose their job. If you're hearing this, you want to come out and tell people what's going on in there and, you know, what your understanding of your research is. Most people listening know that you're being kept from the military aspects of what your research is, and you're not on a need-to-know basis. But you're more welcome to come out. If you know and believe the United States military is playing God with the weather and your research is assisting them, then we'd like for you to come out. We've already provided a whistleblower to the Oklahoma City FBI. I'd love to send anyone else down there. So Agent Rich, maybe he can go back up to Cash and Dan Bongino there and tell them they need to do their job. They need to address the weather weapons that are being used against Americans, because non-consent has been delivered. Which means once the non-consent has been delivered, then they are in federal violation of the laws that permit them to experiment on me. They're not allowed to experiment on me or Lori Kramer. The rest of you guys in America, if you haven't filed a complaint with your local FBI and delivered your non-consent, well, they think they can do whatever they want to do to you. But we've requested the criminal investigation and handed over what was necessary to get it started. And you can contact your local FBI, go down to the headquarters. Tell them you want to speak to an agent. That's the best way to do it, man. Once you're no longer afraid and start pushing these people in numbers, then they're going to feel the pressure to actually do their job. Right now, they don't have to worry about it. They're laughing. Like, it's just a guy out there with a camera and maybe a few weird people walking in and off campus, but nobody's done anything yet. He'll eventually get tired, or people will move on, or maybe the Pope will die, or... Oh, wait, nope, never mind. That happened already. So they ain't going to have the whole conclave and that whole process. Boy, that's going to suck so many people's attention. Can't keep up with the bread and circuses that they're offering out there. If you're listening to this right now, my name is Michael Lewis Artemeyer. I'm an independent investigative journalist cooperating with the Oklahoma City FBI, who's refusing to do their job. I'd appreciate it if you would call 911. And when your dispatcher says 911, what's your emergency? You need to let them know I need Cleveland County, Oklahoma Sheriff's Office. Cleveland County, Oklahoma Sheriff's Office. You'll be transferred over to Cleveland County Sheriff's Oklahoma's office and notify the Sheriff's Department that a victim of a crime is still at the crime scene rolling his camera, and he's waiting on Chris to come out and tell him what he intends to do to stop these crimes from taking place. We're trying to shut down these NextRad towers. Make the calls. It's not against the law. It's not against the law. This is an emergency. These towers are activated right now. It's an emergency. It's really up for me to decide what the emergency is, not for law enforcement. And right now, those towers are powered up. You know, that one's definitely powered up. Had a couple of maintenance people go up and look at that one. Maybe they took someone up there just to show them what to expect when they're going up there. There's a lot of weird things happening out here. Now, don't worry about your 911 shutting down, because you're calling from a specific area. And unless there's 500 of you calling from some county in Ohio, you're not going to hurt your 911 one bit. They're going to transfer you over right away to Cleveland County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. Cleveland County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. And unfortunately for the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, there's like 145 people right there. If 100 people right now were to call 911 and do exactly as I say, have them transferred over to the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, I mean, that might send a wake-up call to them there. That might get an officer to come out, because, you know, it's been 3 days now. You know, it's technically 3 days during simulation that they're supposed to meet me right over there. Right there where my finger is. And they know I'm posted up right here, keeping the camera on the weapons being utilized against Americans. That's how the military plays God with the weather. You're looking at a NextRad. These are ground-based units that work in conjunction with HARP. If you don't know what HARP is, read the book. Angels don't play this HARP. Now, without your ground-based units operating, the stratospheric aerosol injection served no purpose. If there was no HARP and there was no NEXRADs, there would be no sky poisons. They can't be manipulated. They can't be formed into systems. So, in order to get rid of the sky poisons, and since we can't go up there in the sky and protest and float up there when the planes are flying by poisoning us, well, the only option Americans have to stop the military from this treason is to occupy, take over, and eliminate all ground-based units that have been used to manipulate the weather. If your NEXRAD tower was used to harm Western North Carolina, we want it down. We're starting with these right here. Showed the Oklahoma City FBI evidence. These were utilized against Western North Carolina families, specifically targeted that area. Specifically targeted that area. And see, the United States military is not going to come into your communities with their MRAPs and their rifles and all of that. They don't have to. They're going to send a weather weapon your way. They're going to wipe you out, kill you, destroy your home. Then they're going to send in the National Guard. And maybe they mobilize the 82nd like they did in the 101st, like they did out there in Western North Carolina. After they deployed the weather weapon, they finally sent the military out to help the people that they just murdered, to help the people that they just destroyed their homes from. That's what's taking place. See, the United States military is going to play God with the weather. They're going to send the weather weapon system. They're going to depopulate. Rural areas are continuing to be hit. And they still have all the executive orders. You haven't seen Trump undo one of the Bush or Obama executive orders, any of the FEMA executive orders that authorizes FEMA to do what they're doing. And with the threat of disbanding and dismantling FEMA, all that land that they've managed to steal, well, there's going to be no agency that's going to be able to hand that back to the people. Sorry about your luck. Those of you that got left stranded and you took the FEMA buyout. Then the president got elected, and every one of you is sitting there smiling. You're laughing like, yeah, we held off. We're going to get help too. Well, looks like that was a big lie too, wasn't it? No, you're not. They're going to go after your lithium. As long as these towers are standing, they're going to have the technology to send weapons into your mountains because they're not sending our sons and daughters into our communities armed up. They're going to use them to send weather weapons to us. They're going forward with their 10 kingdoms, with their global agenda, with their smart cities, with their mRNA AI bioweapons, those things they call vaccines. They're going forward with it all. You have real ID now. Welcome to Gestapo territory. You have no right to travel by air unless you comply and get a government ID. But everyone cheered that on, right? Or most people just tried to ignore it. Now, there would have been a huge fight had Kamala or Biden try to push that in. Huge, huge fight. So systematically, America is moving towards their globalist one world agenda. We don't stop that. Jesus says it's going to happen. But we can temporarily stop their weather weapons system. I mean, it's never stopped permanently because why do you think Jesus had to come back? But man, we can shut it down temporarily. But eventually people are just going to get lax, go back to doing what they're doing and be distracted with the next distraction. But we got a good shot here right now. We've got a plan that's running right now called Operation Leaning Tower. We're in Oklahoma, the weather capital of the nation. Norman, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma University's Weather Command Center, the North Campus right next to the airport. You're looking at directed energy weapons that are utilized to manipulate the weather. These particular NEXRAD towers were utilized against our families in Western North Carolina. And Lori, you can go ahead and manage the moderation if you want for right now. I think Sis would step up. I don't have time to keep up. For those of you guys who don't know, Lori Kay, she's actually went to the local FBI with me, spoke with the agents, gave them her research, her intelligence. She's had death threats against her. She goes back 25 years. So I'm just like I'm like a young little punk on the block to some of these old timers out here that's been assisting us in Oklahoma. And you know, these people that were trying to warn everyone years ago, you know, they're tired, but we're doing our best to pull them out, you know. And I don't know if there's any more people like Lori out there, but you know, if you have information and you're being ignored, then get a hold of us. I'll take you to the FBI myself. The more people we have going to them, then the bigger a problem we become for them. And we have to occupy this problem by becoming a bigger problem. That's what we're supposed to do. So we'll go through and we'll articulate what the issue is. On September 27th, Helen smashed into Western North Carolina, and the next rad towers, the tower you're looking at right now, over 100 of them were activated. And what it did was these next rad towers, as they were activated, they repelled the air mass that was charged with electromagnetic charge particles. So the frequencies, the microwave burst, the frequency transmissions pushes air systems away. It repels. So if you have a tower on each side of a storm moving up, and you're moving that storm from the south to the north, all you have to do is have towers to the east and the west, and that storm that's already migrating up north will stay within that line. Now, the next rad tower data that came out showed irrefutable evidence that these directed energy weapons were utilized. And they steered Helen up into Western North Carolina. They have a lot of plans to get that lithium out. The finest quartz in the world is out there. They have plans for Asheville Smart City. So there are three motives right there. And if you look up Doug Emhoff, who was Vice President Kamala Harris's husband at the time, I think he still is. But if you look up his investments that are in that particular area itself and look at the percentage increase of trades bought, it's right there in front of your face. These people knew that North Carolina was going to get hit with a weather weapon. These towers you're looking at were utilized. Anyone can go to t.me/BorderWarsAZ, scroll all the way up through the channel. You'll see us working in North Carolina. You'll see us getting the testimonies of families who survived the weather weapon in North Carolina. And you'll see and understand why we are here in Oklahoma right now. God has many things that have to take place in Oklahoma, and these towers being eliminated is just one of them. Yeah, that's how to do it, Lori. We like free speech. If you get put in timeout, though, I put you in timeout for like 86,000 seconds. I think it's 24 hours. Because there's really no need. If you disagree, then write out a coherent question so we understand why you disagree. But the evidence before you disagree, everything that's been stated, once again, go to t.me/BorderWarsAC. And then Lori can type in, she has plenty of links for the patents, and they did original chemtrail documentary. It's really neat. It's old school. It's for those of you who remember what it's like growing up watching TV. You know, there's no fancy editing, nothing like that. It's just very simple, calming voice explaining what the stratospheric aerosol injections are. Lori can put links right there for you guys to go and see. And her patent list that was plagiarized by Dane Wigington, she can put links in there. She's right there, too, if you have questions for her. She did go speak with the FBI with me. Now, we were in separate interview rooms. That was my second interview, and this was her first. So we're out here, and we do speak with authority. First, I speak with authority from Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. So if I'm speaking the truth, I don't care how it offends anybody. The truth shouldn't really be offending you. You should be embracing the truth If it's a bad truth, then you work to change it and make it a good truth. Now, the bad truth is the United States military is playing God with the weather, and our families in Western North Carolina are living in fear. And I'm here on behalf of Western North Carolina families that want to know these towers were taken offline, that they cannot be used against them again. NEXRAD towers. Some people call them Doppler radar towers. Look them up. They have multiple functions. Military weapons equipment is embedded within this technology. Right. Got another timeout. Now, unfortunately, Meta platforms, Facebook, we don't have our materials out on there. If you go to the Telegram channel, t.me/BorderWarsAZ, you can go all the way back 2 years ago when we first launched Operation Pegasus Down. We went after Beale Air Force Base. We literally went after the Air Force Base, shut down Snyder Gate on 2 occasions. That was our effort to try to get the chemtrail pilots to stop flipping those switches on us. We didn't get everybody to fulfill what needed to be fulfilled to get that operation, but it was worth it. It was a 6.5, 7 week operation. I'm not putting no time limit on this one. So if you're listening, Chris, I'm sitting out here right now hoping everyone listening to my voice is calling 911. I hope your office is blowing up right now, Chris. Because I'm going to sit here and be patient, and I'm going to get everyone I can to call 911. Because there's an emergency going on right now. And we want the Sheriff's Department to come out and tell this community that they intend to continue protecting these directed energy weapons and permitting the military to play God with the weather. That's what we want the sheriff to do. Tell the truth. Don't hide behind your office. Get out of your office, Chris. You can't come out and tell the people I'm lying. Actually, it's not a waste of emergency resources. Our emergency resources are being wasted on the quote-unquote natural weather that's been destroying the heartland. In the 1980s in the United States of America, you had 800 tornadoes average for 1980. Fast forward to 2024, 1,700 plus tornadoes. Now, the interesting with that is as these NEXRAD installations were increased and built across the nation, as HARP itself was expanded and the mobile HARP units went out, and then once the new HARP unit that's built in the Arctic, that's the massive new HARP unit, and that sucker ain't no joke, man. That is why your storms, that's why they're so much more accurate now. Activating the network towers of the NEXRADs that you see in front of you, when you activate those towers themselves, they're all synced into a network. And from what we've been told, and we believe 100%, is you have artificial intelligence, it's supposed to be controlled in a box. A controlled artificial intelligence is now running all the weather simulations, and their simulations are called live exercises. That's what they are. So they're actively creating these storms, and they're testing them on just how accurate and how much control can they get. They want to have 100% control of all storms. They want to be able to make it pop up and disappear at will. They want to have the ability that only God Almighty has. They might be able to mimic what our Heavenly Father does, but their best mimicry, what we're looking at right here, well, they're murdering all kinds of people to figure out how to do it, and they have to poison our air. They have to poison the the ecosystem, the water, the soil, the wildlife, the vegetation. They have to poison mankind to play God with the weather. So it's a mimic, and it's not a good mimic. It's a bad mimic. So we do report accurately the United States military plays God with the weather. We've already explained and shown on our news channel. There's been plenty of whistleblowers that's come out from Raytheon to Lockheed Martin. Look up Kristen Megan. Her testimony will blow your mind. She got threatened and harassed. They like to go after people's families if they speak out. We asked Governor Stitt for whistleblower protection for some of our other whistleblowers. More people would be willing to come out if they had confidence that they would be protected. But when they see current whistleblowers being marginalized, current whistleblowers being mocked, and you have an online troll, you have an army of bots. You'll have the military-industrial complex come to any broadcast. They can send out their trolls, their bots, to make people think that there is a lot of people who think I'm crazy. What are you doing out there, you crazy nut? And you'll see some comment like that, and that's designed to discourage you. Oh no, if I hang out and listen to what this guy's telling me, this random person on the internet who thinks he's a crazy nut might think I'm a crazy nut too. See, that's the problem. Every one of you have been programmed, and the propaganda that comes off of the media is just, it's accurate as hell, man. They can predict what you guys are going to do. They can throw out whatever story they know is going to pull your attention in. And the only thing we're trying to do is write a new script and throw it on the table. You're being fed a bunch of garbage right now from this administration. Your bioweapons are advancing. The weather weapon system is advancing. The sky poisons are expanding. And you still ain't got the poisons out of the food. And the only reason why they're trying to get water out of the fluoride system, especially those municipalities that are being bombarded with SAIs, is because they've increased the amount of barium and aluminum in the stratospheric aerosol injections. And the fluoride that's in the water that causes you to absorb more of those metals, it will be an uncontrolled spike, which is what they don't want. They don't want an uncontrolled spike of respiratory, of certain illnesses at hospitals that they can't control, because they got to control whatever new superbug it is that they're going to trick the American population into believing exists. They don't want a black swan event. So they're not taking the fluoride out of the water to protect you for yourself. They're doing it to protect their program because it's going to go outside of the research perimeters. Now, how do we know all this? Because the very whistleblowers that's been trying to tell everybody are still speaking out, and new ones have come forward, and they've gone to the FBI. And the FBI cannot deny that every single thing I'm stating is the truth. Military's playing God with the weather. And now they're in violation of Title 50 because 2 citizens have filed formal complaints against the United States military. Non-consent was delivered, and the commander-in-chief in the White House refuses to tell the military to stand down and stop playing God with the weather. Refuses to tell the military to stop manufacturing the new bioweapons. Nope, none of that's taking place. So let's throw some truth on the table. A lot of people are gorging themselves, just stuffing their mouth full of garbage. You got your 2 gender. Yeah, how's that working out for the women still getting beat in college sports? How's that working out for the children still being groomed? Where's all the drag queen shows that you guys said were never going to happen again? Oh my God, how's that happening? They're happening all over. So the smorgasbord that you're being provided by this administration is just enough to keep you shut up and make you sit down and don't you dare say anything bad about my president. Your president murdered our families in Western North Carolina because the stratospheric aerosol injections and some of the technology that was used that's expanded the weather weapon system came with the formation and creation of the USS Space Force. And what the Space Force is doing is taking the directed energy weapon technology to another whole level. Your president injected our people with a bioweapon that was warp sped into their arms, knowing that the military patented that. They had those vaccines, quote, they already had billions manufactured. Your president was given information about the children trafficked in Arizona that exposed CPS. That would have been the biggest. Remember, CPS caseworkers in Arizona wore shirts in protest saying, "I kidnapped children." That's what they were doing as part of that network. Your president received that information, did absolutely nothing with it. Nothing. Hasn't moved to move any of those children back with their parents. The president knows our Western North Carolina families had their land stolen under the Biden administration. That FEMA was screwing them over. But he's done nothing to return the land. See, Jesus Christ has done all kinds of stuff. Healed the blind, healed the maimed. I mean, people that never walked in their lives stood up and was jumping for joy and dancing. Jesus Christ died for each and every person listening to my voice. Now, there's a Savior that we can get behind. There's a Savior that never fails you. And that when you get a drink that he serves you, it's the best tasting wine that you've ever had. It's not full of garbage. Half-truths. They're making you think that they're rounding up and doing mass deportations. No, they're not. And we told you in the beginning, they definitely don't even have the manpower to do that. But what are they doing? They're going after the Tren de Araujo, the 18th Street gangs. They're going after those gangs. What about all the military-age Chinese men that we filmed walk across the border under the Biden regime? What about the Afghanis, the Yemenis, the Pakistanis, the Hajis? We were pulling prayer rugs out of them. Those are prayer rugs I'm holding in the desert on the Arizona border. What about all those people? Not a single arrest. Why isn't Tom Holman going after those individuals? Why is CCP still operating police stations in the United States of America, monitoring their citizens that are living here? Why are those police stations still activated? Why hasn't Pam Bondi released the Epstein list? Only give these little dockets, these little pamphlet portfolios to a few influencers and make everybody excited just to shut them up for a little bit? Why hasn't that been released? Well, we know why and who they're protecting. They're not going to tell you about the Oklahoma City bombing. They're not going to tell you about Waco. They're not going to tell you about Ruby Ridge. They're not going to tell you about 9/11. They're not going to tell you about those things. So that's how we know we got the new boss, which is same as the old boss. And it's not because we don't want Donald Trump to do the right thing. We've been begging him. So many of our subscribers said, just wait, Trump's in office. Just wait, he's taking down the deep state. Just trust Q, he has a plan. No, those are all lies. We're waiting while our people are dying and the air is continuing to be poisoned. And law enforcement is protecting the military's equipment that was utilized to murder innocent lives with weather weapon Helen. Yeah, if anyone, you got a real question, I'm looking right now. You can ask a real question if you got one. I'll give you a truthful answer. If I don't know, I'll tell you. Everybody should be on the IRS watch list. Why are you paying taxes still? They haven't stopped doing anything. They haven't stopped sending foreign aid. They haven't done anything. They're just dragging you on from one cycle to the next, getting you ready for midterms. And then you're going to have to protect the agenda. You got to go out and vote Republicans. Don't let the Democrats steal the House, because in all the hard work that was done over the years, or not done, it can all be undone. It's going to be the most important election in our lifetime is getting ready to come up right now. Get ready for it. They're going to start pushing that. Most important midterms of our lifetime. If we don't win these midterms, it's over. We already got the House. You already got the Senate. You already got the White House. Then why are we still moving forward with bioweapons that are called vaccines? Why is the military still poisoning our skies and deploying directed energy weapons against Americans? Why? Where are the Republicans? I mean, I'm in Oklahoma. Every county in this state went red. Every county. There's not one blue county in this state. It's the weather capital of the world. Why are the Republicans in Oklahoma defending the university here, who's contracted with the United States military to play God with the weather? You think if we would have any state that would stand up for the Constitution and the American people, it would be a red state. And I'm not just sitting in a red state, I'm sitting in an all red state. All red. Things aren't getting better for the people on the streets. The skies aren't getting any clearer. There's a unit right there getting there. He's spraying right now. I don't know if you can see it. It's cut over there. Got some power poles. Maybe the camera will pick it up. He's opening up right now. Poisoning our skies daily. Answer what? Let's see. Yeah, get them, Lori. We don't care about trolls. If you don't have an army of trolls on you, then you're probably not telling the truth or doing anything right. There are people in here right now working for the federal government and local law enforcement. They would be speaking in opposition to what I'm reporting right now, by the way. They want me to shut up and go away. You're just praying, huh, Chris? Well, you pray to God. God's real. God's merciful. God can move me. I don't think that's in the cards. I don't think God brought me all the way out here just to move me. He definitely didn't bring me out here to fall into any trap that you guys would be able to get me into, like you tried before. Maybe he just wants the sheriff's department to be my footstool for a week. So everyone in the county knows that Chris refused to bring justice to Western North Carolina families. He refused to uphold his oath. He was given proof that federal laws were being violated, and he refused to uphold and enforce those laws. And he has more authority than the federal government, so there is no excuse for him not to uphold his oath to the Constitution. Quite a predicament you're in, Chris. Now imagine how people are going to find out when they go to our channel and they see all that destruction, and they find out what really happened and about all the people that were murdered out there and how the land was stolen. There's a lot of people that knew what really happened at Bunny Ranch. They know about the land grabs that the federal government's been doing. They're well aware. First was Agenda 2020, then Agenda 2024, Agenda 2030. You probably have an Agenda 50, 2050, Agenda 80, don't matter. They'll just keep producing those just so people can say, we told you so, and do nothing beyond that. We've already achieved one of the biggest victories I think we've ever achieved in Veterans on Patrol. I mean, absent of leading someone to Christ, I'd have to say, this is pretty awesome. Because they call us a violent extremist militia. And for 4 days now, the quote-unquote violent extremist militia has been posting up around directed energy weapons, running simulations, discussing on how to eliminate and destroy those weapons. Being very specific about the United States military being the culprit in this matter. Now, I know some people may get scared and maybe they decide they're not gonna come participate. That's fine. Not worried about that. Many are called. Many are called. If you are in Norman, Oklahoma, you want to come out, you can come on out. If you want to just drive out to Norman, Oklahoma, you're welcome to come out here too. There's a whole lot to do. There are so many simulations that we can run. And now we're waiting for the multiplication to take place. The more people that show up, the crazier we can get. Yeah, for you guys wondering, no, weather radar is actually accurate, but it has more than one function. That's the problem that we found ourselves in. There are LRADs, and there's directed energy weapon technology, mainly for riot control. Not just, I mean, they don't have the technology just for listening and, it's hacking, air hacking. They can hack almost every single message just over the air. But on your cellular towers, you have LRADs, you have equipment on there too that's part of the riot control. In the event they had to declare a martial law, a lockdown, the United States military, in the event that there was civil unrest, in the event that we were attacked from within and the enemy has embedded itself, much like the CCP soldiers and the Hajis, all those military-aged men, walking military-style men. They're all over the United States of America. None of them been rounded up yet. They're just getting the criminal gangs. The trained soldiers have a better purpose. They have a great purpose for those guys over here. So the United States military has this technology embedded all around in our civilian infrastructure, and the DC politicians gave them the authority to do it. And riot control is one of the listed reasons. Riot control. So those of you guys have seen the percussion weapons, they use sound. There's also frequency. There's high intensity, like microwaves, where you feel like you're on fire if you walk to a certain perimeter, like you won't be able to go any further. You literally feel like you're burning. Hey, we got a helicopter flying around low over there. I wonder if that's, I think local media maybe came out. That don't look like the sheriff's copper. Let's see. Right there. You can see him up there. He's just kind of hovering, moving real slow. Might be going in to land at the airport. No, don't need to start. Well, actually, yeah, starting a riot would be an actually good idea. You think that the American people would actually go riot and be upset at weapons being used against them and the military poisoning them, instead of electric cars or Doge or railing at whoever's sitting in the office of the presidency, because they're all hand selected, not by the people, but the people are allowed to believe that. Yeah, I would say flipping tables over and cracking bullwhips right now is a good idea. So what I'm encouraging people to do, if you're listening to here and you're just getting here, we're asking you to call 911. I know that you're not in Cleveland County, Oklahoma, and if you are, it's easy for you because you don't have to be transferred. But we want you to call 911, and we want you to tell your 911 dispatcher that there's an emergency in Cleveland County, Oklahoma. You need the Cleveland County, Oklahoma Sheriff's Office. They're going to transfer you over there. Once the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office notify them that there's an emergency over at Oklahoma University's North Campus, and that a victim of a crime is at the crime scene right now waiting on the sheriffs to come out. Now, I've already done my best to call. I've gone down to talk to them. I had the Norman Police Department tell me that, well, the sheriff's department's not going to respond and that they're the ones that have to deal with the 911. Well, that's why you're going to request to get to the sheriff's office, because you will be transferred over to that until they fix that little glitch. But yeah, make the 911 call, because our sheriff out here, he's really, really confident that this storm is going to blow over. That I'm just going to be a here today, gone tomorrow thing. Now, I don't know why you would think that. We spent 6 weeks in the capital city, working really hard in the capital city. Way overstayed our stay. I think it was like more than that, maybe 7 weeks. But took way, we gave them way too many chances, really, if you look back at how many notices we delivered. Now we're at the simulation park. We told them we was going to destroy them, so we're destroying them in various different ways. Right now, we're talking them into destruction. But we're also learning their security, seeing how law enforcement reacts to people walking up near the towers, keeping a close eye memorizing vehicles, like all those vehicles that are over there. Yeah, I think you're absolutely wrong. They're very concerned about a man recording. And that's the problem is, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it ain't taking place. And I've already seen with my own eyes that they've had to remove their position, and I know that they're on our channel and they're watching and listening to what I'm saying. And if they weren't concerned about what I was doing, then they definitely wouldn't be trying to reposition their security. But as I told him, no matter what they do, they wouldn't be able to stop me from getting onto a tower, even with all their security as they move. So I'm just showing them every way we could possibly hit them to shut these towers down. And it does concern them. There's over 100-something people listening right now. What happens if 5 of those people decide they're going to go out to their next rad towers, take pictures, set up a camera, tell local law enforcement that you're running attack simulations, and you can cite the one that's going on in Norman, Oklahoma right now. They can contact you, huh, Chris? You can contact our sheriff out here. Chris here in Cleveland County, Oklahoma. And then have your sheriff contact our sheriff, and our sheriff will confirm that there's been 4 days of attack simulations against directed energy weapons at the Oklahoma University campus, their Weather Command Center. We're doing a VOP news special. If you don't happen to be a journalist, well, now you are. Congratulations. Just go out there and say you're with VOP News, and I'll vouch for you. Stick your camera right on those towers. Talk to people in the local area. You've started doing something that no one else has done. You're not selling t-shirts. You're not spending money on lawsuits. You're not begging politicians. You've gone outside your comfort zone that they want to keep you in. And you'll have someone that may mock you and say, oh, you're doing nothing but pointing the camera at it. But where are they sitting? Where's the tower in front of them? Where are they standing up against a giant? They won't even get on the playing field, but they may judge you for being 10 steps ahead of them because they lack the intestinal fortitude. Those are little boys that you usually see crying on these channels, where they say, you're not doing anything, nothing you're doing is going to matter, you're all talk. Remember those kids that would taunt you in elementary school? These are grown babies that never matured. They're men who know that they're not men, so they feel a little bit insignificant when they hear my voice. They have no idea what they're talking about. Well, I'm well versed in the material I've researched and studied over the years, and so they feel like a little small, insignificant nothing. So they say something, and their job's to discourage you. Don't just be discouraged by what some troll says because they're ignorant and because they feel insignificant. You would be doing a lot if you got off your ass and went to a next rad tower. Forgive me, Lord. If you got off your butt and you went to the next rad tower, you'd be doing a lot. Because then there'd be another person with another camera at another military target. Now imagine if 50 other people go out there and do that. Pretty soon, how does the mainstream media ignore that people are rising up against the military weapons that's been put inside our communities? It's our infrastructure. These are being used against us, not for us. They're being used against us. And if you consent, God bless you. I don't, and I don't have to deal with your consent. They have to stop because I don't consent. And as long as someone doesn't consent, they have to stop. Otherwise, they're in violation of the PrEP Act, the 1520 subsection A of Title 50. They're going to be in violation, which they are right now. They've received non-consent, and the military is still poisoning the skies, and the weather weapons program, the system, the ground units are still operational. Well, you're actually receiving facts. These aren't opinions. If you want to research it and look it up, the government patents are there. And look up what a next rad tower is. This way you have the information. You have the information because you can't point at facts and call them opinions when you're given scientific facts, name classifications, and explained how the system itself works. And you can go and listen to the same whistleblowers who have come out and explain that. This way you're more educated. If you don't like my voice, then go listen to the people who educated me. Because you need to get to a point where you've been educated enough to know where you can make a difference. And if you don't believe this is making a difference right now, then that's okay. The ones out here and the people that's been going through it and the people that we still hope, we still got a few people that aren't going to back out. But to escalate these simulations, we're the only ones in America doing it right now. Now the military has a chance to prepare. How do they deal with a situation like this? Now you have citizens that are well within their constitutional rights, that have delivered their non-consent, which is putting the military on the defensive now. They can no longer poison me. They're not supposed to poison the skies above me and Lori because we've already delivered our non-consent. So by their own federal law, we've acknowledged that harm has become to our lives, that everyone's being affected by these poisons. We've acknowledged that harm's been caused, and we don't consent to being guinea pigs. You know, you'd be doing a lot if you got off your butts and not just type something because somebody was out filming a directed energy weapon. You go film your own directed energy weapon. I don't advise going to your legislators, your governors. I did all that. We did all that for you guys on our news channel so you could see. I don't advise repeating everything that we've gone through to get a solution from them. What we do now is we find a solution from ourselves through our Father. What can we do when the government refuses to do what it's supposed to do? So if the sheriff's office is refusing to protect its constituents, their people, and neighboring states from weather weapons that the military is using against them, then what can the people here in Cleveland County do? We're simulating various things that those in Cleveland County can do. Now, we're going to take care of some homeless later anyway. Someone to come in today, another journalist, because we had an operation plan. But we're going to be hooking them up too. Some of the homeless that are going to be helping us are well aware of what these directed energy weapons are. One of them actually used to work on this facility. Be amazed at what you find when you're on the streets doing the Lord's work. So just as we did with Beale Air Force Base, we start from the ground up. We want everyone to have an opportunity to come out. And these aren't protests. These are attack simulations. We want that very inflammatory language used. It's aggressive because we need to be aggressive. We're not going to wave a flag and go home and say, hoorah, rah. I got 10 likes on my Facebook photo. Yeah, and you got 20 chemtrails just placed above you in the past 3 hours. Well, those 10 likes aren't equivalent to much of anything. Now, we do know they have to shut down these towers in the event that there is human life up there, and there's supposed to be a policy. Towers shouldn't be activated when you have human beings in there. So, well, that's going to be put to the test. We already know that you can get to it and approach it by a drone and drop an acidic compound on the top of it that will eat through it, drop into the center of that dome and eat the technology, that coil, reverse spiral coil that's in there. So with the right acidic compound, you could drop a payload from a drone, drop it right over it, and it will take that weapon out. We have seen in March where the power stations are and their backup generator systems or backup power systems out. So you could eliminate the power system itself, cut it out, destroy the power system, then the tower is no longer functioning. The most feasible way to do it is to get about 20 or 30 people to just occupy it, hang out on it, bring out some Bluetooths, you know, get a couple food trucks out here with burgers and hot dogs, and you know, and just they'd have to shut it down. It's just too much of a safety hazard for it to be running. And this way we found some middle ground where we didn't have to destroy the equipment, because what if the equipment can be utilized to the betterment of our community? What if we can take what the military is using for bad and turn around and use it for good? So let's make sure that we don't have something that can be done with these Tesla towers. Maybe they haven't discovered it yet because they're trying to use the technology to play God with the weather. Maybe if we get some scientific minds that are more interested in free energy, they can look at this technology in these towers and convert them, modify them into something that's good for the community. See, we're all about finding a solution to the program, and if we don't have to destroy something, then we don't want to. Like, people are talking about us destroying water stations. No, we drained them, relocate them, we gave them to people who needed them. There's no sense in destroying. Now, communications the cartel had, radios, well, after we got all the frequencies and things like that, yeah, we destroyed a lot of their stuff, destroyed a lot of their drugs, destroyed a lot of their stuff, infrastructure-wise. But we had no choice in that matter. And we did notify the Mexican government, the American government, both militaries, Border Patrol, Department of Justice. I mean, we notified Senator Kelly Townsend, was one of the first sitting senators to get noticed that we were going into Mexico illegally. I still got screenshots where she actually saw it on Telegram, and then she ran away from me as fast as she could. But as a sitting senator, she actually had a duty to notify, which she never did. She never went to notify the FBI. Of course, I already had. But she never went to notify them that I was entering in with a quote-unquote militia to declare war against the cartel in Mexican sovereign territory. So there's a lot of things you can do. I don't recommend notifying any of your politicians. You can call 911 right now and ask for Cleveland County Sheriff's Department to get out here where a victim is waiting in front of weapons that were utilized against our families in Western North Carolina. And we're just tired of playing the games. You know, there's going to be no double speak. These are sky poisons. They're called stratospheric aerosol injections. These are NEXRADs. They're called directed energy weapons. A black shirt. I don't know if this guy's security or not. Hey, he's security moving up in there. Yes, this is one of the ones. We had the video out. And unfortunately, the guy who plagiarized Lori's research, that's the main one that's been going out that most people are comfortable with. So you see the video. It's also on a Telegram channel. So when Helen was formed, you'll see the NEXRAD tower data that was released and how that they were all activated. And these particular towers were activated. They're on the radar. The data's there. The FBI knows. Local law enforcement knows. The governor knows. Senators know. You know. So, yes, you're looking at towers, and there were over 100 towers used. You're looking at just a couple of the towers that were used against our families in Western North Carolina to steer Helen up. When these towers are activated and frequency transmissions go out in the bursts that they did when Helen was moving up, it repelled the storm and it kept it in a path. By hitting it on all sides with frequencies, they were able to steer it up into Helen, up into Western North Carolina, and then it spun there. And it dumped 30 trillion gallons of rain in an hour. And when you see the NEXRAD towers stop emitting their frequency transmissions, you'll see the storm disperse and move off. Now, it's irrefutable evidence, and the fact that those mobile HARP units and mobile ships along the Gulf of America was pushing it up on each side, the military was pre-positioned with all of their ship units and their ground units, so they knew that Helen was going to be formed through the cloud seeding. Now, in the Gulf, they have ships, so it's not just stratospheric aerosol injections. They're pumping fake clouds and systems up from ship units and ground units. And they got heavy. They're calling it the Gulf of America for a reason. The American military, the Navy, is one of the biggest perpetrators of the weather weapons system. A lot of people think it's the Air Force because the Air Force is poisoning our skies. No. Actually, the United States Navy is the biggest culprit. They're actually in lead of all the military branches. It's the United States Navy. Out of the USAP, it comes the United States Navy. So if you serve in the United States Navy and you weren't aware, you definitely have been playing God with the weather. Maybe you not in particular, but your superiors and those you served with, they were playing God with the weather. A Sharpie to direct storms. They signed a bunch of executive orders that don't mean nothing, and apparently none of them have enforcement. He's the sitting commander-in-chief. And being that this is a military program, a USAP operation, the commander-in-chief can shut it down. All he has to do is tell all the generals to turn off the weapons, shut down the weather weapons system, just shut it down. Declare a 3-year moratorium and see what type of weather we get over the next 3 years without all this technology that's being used against us. Let's see how quick the earth can recover without mankind poisoning the air. See, they're going to have to continue poisoning us. And at some point, it's got to click in people's minds. They cannot control the weather without using poisons, without killing mankind and killing the ecosystem and polluting our water, our soil, the vegetation, wildlife. Without destroying us, they can't control the weather. So they should not be able to have any ground units until they make an air unit that disperses an all-natural, non-harming compound that gives them the power to make weather weapon systems. Because they're never going to try to play God with the weather to make it rain in Africa because they want to grow more food. They're going to tell you that, so you believe they got some noble cause for what they're doing. It's a weather weapon system. They discovered long ago nuclear fallout terrifies them. But they know the earth can recover from a natural disaster. So once you harness the power of the world's cloud stratosphere up there, you push the ionosphere up. What they're doing with their ionospheric heaters. Heart, one of the main functionings. Well, the earth will heal from a tornado. The earth will heal from an earthquake. The earth will heal from a flood. The earth is going to recover from those things. But we have our own fallout. Now it's not radiation poisoning we got to worry about from a nuclear bomb. It's the metals, toxins, the funguses. The little, if you read the ingredients of what are in these stratospheric aerosol injections, and you just looked at it and just take it for what it is. And if you don't know what they are, go and look and see what some of those compounds are. And see what they're used for. Then understand that's what you're seeing being sprayed above you every single day. Every single day. They're playing God with the weather. They're going to control the weather to control the world. They're going to use the weather to herd the cattle out of rural areas into their designated concentration camps is all they end up being. That doesn't stop. There's not been one executive order to return any of the land that BlackRock and Vanguard and them now have because of these weather weapons you're looking at. There's been no arrests. You're not going to see any. Just a bunch of theater. You won't see about the Mossad agents and the Israelis that were involved with the Jeffrey Epstein opposition. You won't see about the Mossad and their involvement with the JFK assassination to the largest extent that they won't release. Who was on Jeffrey Epstein's island? Who's that girl on Hunter Biden's laptop? That little girl he raped. They filmed himself raping. What about that naked girl that he ran out of the hotel room and dragged down the hallway by her hair back into the hotel room when she's trying to escape from them? You know, where are those victims at? Supposed to trust the plan for another 4 years like before and then get put in another lockdown and then the left will be blamed when the left takes over and steals an election? How does this play out? What's the next move? We know they're moving to acquire Greenland and Central America, so we know the 10 kingdoms are slowly taking shape. They're getting all the lineups for their global one world currency. The cryptocurrency is what it's going to be after. One world religion, working hard on that. Got the real ID in effect. Now you can't fly no more unless you give the government information and they know exactly where you're going. Feel like we're in a free America. We're winning. So many people out there saying we're winning. That women are still getting pummeled in sports. Children are still being indoctrinated and groomed by perverts. Weather weapons are still being deployed. The skies are still being poisoned. And the victories of Jeffrey Epstein are still screaming and crying out for justice. It's okay, God's going to give justice. Woe unto those that prevented justice from coming forward. Right now, we want justice for Western North Carolina families that were targeted by the United States military. These are some of the weapons you're looking at that were utilized by the United States military. If you would like to go to a NextRad installation near you, you can Google it, look it up. Go to your DuckDuckGo or your Bing Maps. Type in Doppler radar. If you zoom in, most of them will actually say NextRad on it. NSSLs, various types. If they're at airports, you probably can get to them and see them. Now, whether you can get up underneath them and take pictures, you can come out here and get underneath these. If you're in Norman, Oklahoma, just come on out here. You've seen people on camera. You'll just be able to walk right up to them, stand underneath them and get pictures. If you want to see pictures that we've taken, it's on t.me/BorderWarsAZ. That's t.me/BorderWarsAZ. If you are able to go out and take pictures of these directed energy weapons that may be in your community, please take them and send them to info.vop@protonmail.com. That'd be info.vop@protonmail.com. It'd be really nice to put together a video and then list all kinds of cities, towns across America to put in a collection with all the videos we've taken of these directed energy weapons. And then maybe then we'll make the military sweat a little bit. Right now, they're not sweating. Right now, they're intrigued. I know they're watching. Wagering bets. If you're betting against me, it's not a good bet. Because God wins no matter what, and I'm with God. So if you can get out to a NextRad tower and get pictures over to us, that's great. If you're just joining us, we're asking you to call 911 and ask your dispatcher to transfer you over to Oklahoma Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Cleveland County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. And then when you get that dispatcher, let them know that a victim of a crime is outside of the university, the Weather Command Center, Oklahoma University's North Campus, where directed energy weapons are still being utilized against Americans. What you're looking at is a directed energy weapon. It's part of a weather weapons system, one of the many ground-based units that are embedded within civilian infrastructure. It's info.vop@protonmail.com. Hey, Cynthia, you're looking at directed energy weapons that the United States military utilized to steer weather weapon Helen up into Western North Carolina. These are the NextRad towers that were utilized with over 100 other towers. Irrefutable evidence has been provided to the FBI. We're running simulation attacks. How do you destroy these weapons? How can you destroy these weapons without causing harm to life? Can it be done without causing harm to property? Yes, we've already simulated and ran the simulation to where you can actually shut this down without causing any harm to the equipment, but you risk causing harm to yourself should the tower operators not kill the power and you were up in that dome on that platform when it was transmitting certain frequencies. It could be very, very harmful. So, it's not 100% that harm to life wouldn't be caused, only that it wouldn't be caused to the public. The individual who would be occupying that tower, going up there and occupying it, they would be the ones putting themselves at risk. And, you know, if the Tower Command, the National Radar Operations Center, it's over there in that building behind that one, if they decide that they're going to, you know, blast you with their frequency transmissions, then you're pretty much going to get blasted. But no weapon formed against you shall prosper, says our Lord and Savior. And I don't say that mockingly. I'd say that 100% faith. There's nothing that weapon can do to me specifically. But it's got all of our families in Western North Carolina living in fear. And as long as these directed energy weapons are able to function across the United States of America, then the military is going to be able to send you more bigger and powerful storms, more devastating, quote-unquote, natural disasters. They've already admitted to what they're doing on several occasions. So we're not here to prove that the weather is being manipulated. We're here to run simulation attacks. How do we destroy the weapons that are used to manipulate the weather? How do we eliminate those towers that you're looking at? Arizona CPS kidnapped kids. Yeah, if you were, I was talking about that earlier. You go back on our news channel on Telegram, you'll see we were advocating for Sarah Ybarra Johnson. This was before the scandemic hit, and the Trump administration received irrefutable evidence, kind of like the FBI just did from Lori and myself. They received irrefutable evidence of what was transpiring with the child kidnappings in Arizona through CPS, and actually caseworkers wanting to cooperate and take the system down. But then they silenced everybody and they shut it down. They blamed COVID, saying COVID came up and they had bigger things to worry about. But under his current administration right now, being that Trump is back, he still has no plans to revisit the Arizona CPS. And that's a massive case. That's a massive case, you know, where you had the caseworkers themselves were wearing T-shirts that said, "I kidnapped children." Some people might remember that time. Well, those things are massive, and it's not just the money side of it. It's all the corruption and the politicians and the judges that are involved with it, you know. I mean, it's just like a Jeffrey Epstein thing. But at CPS, it's going to be much bigger because all 50 states, all counties, all judges, all DHSs, CPSs, the Department of Family Services, they've renamed CPS because they've had to. Because it's been known as, you know, the child traffickers is what they were. The CPS has a very bad name. They've been exposed. They traffic children before they're even born. They look for pregnant women. If they find a homeless pregnant woman, they got their eyes on her and they'll lead her all the way up to birthing room, snatch her kid, and throw that woman back on the streets. I've seen it. So we were talking earlier about how this administration, who's in charge again, does not appear to want to go back and revisit the child trafficking operations that were exposed. And John Shattuck was the one who provided the evidence to Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. And then he didn't trust them, so he gave it to Trump personally. And Trump was the one who told him that he would look into it. Just like Trump told Swannanoa families that he would look into the land grab, but so far nobody's got their land returned to them yet. There's always someone willing to look into it. And if you get that from the president, man, you should be happy, I guess, is what they say. You know, you're lucky that man answered your question as busy as he is. If you're just now joining, we got some people walking over that way. I don't know if you can see him down there. No sheriffs yet. I'm watching the corner. Yeah, Brenman, go to t.me/BorderWarsAZ and scroll up. It'll be Operation Steer It Back. So something with a hashtag Operation Steer It Back. That's where it's explaining the enhancements that we're talking about. Like, it's not just a radar tower. It has multiple functions. And you can actually see those functioning, and you can see the different way the frequency transmissions can come out of these towers, where most people were trying to say it was like glitches within the atmosphere, you know, and radar glitches. No, they're actually not. They're direct line of sight shots that are fired off with their frequency transmissions. They're coming out in pulses and rays. That information's all there. So it's not just a Doppler radar that warns you about storms coming into advance. This also has the ability to send off frequency transmissions that repel the storms. And if you can repel something, you can control it. So we describe these towers as the steering wheel to a vehicle that is controlling the weather. And so with HARP being the main engine of the vehicle, these towers themselves represent the steering wheel, and the stratospheric aerosol injections in the sky, they represent your fuel that keeps that motor, that HARP unit, that keeps that having a purpose. Now, these units all working together is how they are manipulating and controlling the weather with such freaky accuracy. It's insane. It's scarily accurate. And they're getting really excited with this research. And I believe they've already got it concluded. They're just getting a few more ground installations in. And then you want to be very careful, because these are directed energy weapons that have more than one purpose. So can a weapons grade frequency be transmitted off of this tower that can cause irreparable harm to you? Absolutely. And if you want to go look at the patents and see about those, you can. You know, think about an LRAD on steroids, for example. So they're not just Doppler radars. You can research and you can see the videos of how these radars were used to steer Helen up to steal that land in western North Carolina. We have every right and purpose to be here right now. We're here on behalf of our western North Carolina family. We've been running operation in Oklahoma since leaving western North Carolina. Nearly 4.5 months of disaster response that we were able to do. Thanks so many of you. Some of you are catching up to me again right now. You were with us in North Carolina. God bless you. Our families, if you're listening, they still need help. Dara still needs a home. Lynn still needs a home. Doobie and them's got their home coming in, but they need some help too getting their land up. Joe still needs a home. Ken, they're saying he's going to have to tear down and rebuild. I don't know what happened when we left, but we're not liking that. We'd love to get back to help our families. If you were down in western North Carolina with us, we're asking you if you can consider contacting our property owners and just get a hold of me. You should be on my phone list. If you lost my number, it's 520-500-4506. So on behalf of the names that I named, including Jimmy and Jenny and Billy and Daly and Zach and Ian, the little ones, I mean, on behalf of all those families that survived Weather Weapon Helene, we are out here at the Brain Hive, at Radar Operation Commands, Oklahoma University, their Weather Command Center, North Campus next to the airport. We've got NexRad towers that are under observation, running simulation attacks. How do you destroy them? What are ways you can shut them down? This guy's coming in flying real low. Check that out. I'm not sure if that's the Air Force protecting these. I don't think so. I ain't sure. That might be the sheriff's copter. You got a shot? You got a helicopter, Chris? You just fly over here? Is that you up in the helicopter, Chris? East Coast, slam packed, man. I do feel sorry for all of our families out there. And I agree. I used to live on the East Coast. For those that say they wouldn't live into it, I mean, like 2/3 of the population is all crammed over there on the East Coast. It's insane. Well, it's a lot of people. And people aren't happy these days, man. So that's a lot of unhappy people. And unhappy people have problems. That's a lot of unhappy people with problems. That's where they want to hurt everybody, though. It's almost as if they're trying to get everybody into those populations as quickly as possible because they have some plan to depopulate those populated areas. So we're wanting to make a rocket launcher, a Stinger. It's just a prop. Don't worry, it's just a prop. There's absolutely no weapons or firearms that's permitted on these operations. That's something I did tell law enforcement, so they had that. I'm not lying to them. They know I always keep my word on that. There's no sense in it. I'm not here to kill nobody. The military already killed enough people in Western North Carolina. And if we need guns to take over these towers, then we've lost our innovation as Americans. We can't seem to think at all. We're running an exercise just to see how prepared American is and whether or not these Americans out here are able to get together and protect themselves from these weapons. Can they get together, mobilize, and shut them down? You imagine mainstream media doing stories on quote-unquote protesters across the country that were all threatening to go climb directed energy weapons that the military was using against us? Even if they try to mock it and make it look stupid and say, oh, they're just Doppler radars. Well, we know that's not true, so we just stand on the truth. That lie will fall flat. The fact that they're acknowledging that it is something is all it really takes to get the attention of these people. There's Leo right there in the white backing up. He looks like he's repositioning. Yeah, facing me now. Oh, pulling out. People need to get in the mindset of attacking the problems. I'm going to keep repeating that. Go to war. The military's at war with you, America. You're in live exercises. They're allowed to do what they're doing to you. They're not allowed to do it to me, which is why I'm allowed to come out here and do what I'm doing. Nothing really much they can do. God's the only one that can slow me down or stop me or shut me up. I hope he's sitting up there rocking back and forth on his throne, just busting out laughing, watching law enforcement make a fool out of themselves, moving around, protecting this military equipment, watching the sheriff expose what a coward he is by being too afraid to stand up to the military and come out here and shut this illegal operation down. It's already been provided proof that it's a violation of federal law. They've already been provided proof. I go down the street behind me and find someone that's selling drugs. Go to the sheriff's department. Hey, here's proof they're selling drugs. Man, they're going to go run an operation to shut that down. Why won't they do it when it's the military murdering Americans, using directed energy weapons embedded within our infrastructure? Why won't the sheriffs go shut them down? Maybe we should let all of our criminals out of prison and put everyone in military uniform in prison. Who's committing bigger crimes? The drug dealer behind me or those in uniform controlling the weapons in front of me? I think the people controlling these weapons in front of me has done far more harm than the drug dealer selling drugs behind me. We know from North Carolina that that statement is true. So I want to go to Walmart. I got to get a few things. I want to make a bazooka, a rocket shoulder stinger, just with some arts and crafts. Just some crazy stuff. So when I come back and then the people are driving by, they're driving right by these directed energy weapons, they can see something besides me, camera on a tripod, sitting in a chair, watching these weapons. Now we are going to have some homeless that are helping me with some upcoming, they're not protests, we're calling them simulations. But if the media wants to call them protests, that's fine. We want the media to go ahead and call it something. The fact that they're doing a total blackout only emboldens us. When you're afraid to actually put what we're doing, normally they're not. They love to blast me when I'm doing something they think is wrong. Apparently they found out it's not against the law for me to destroy directed energy weapons. And the smartest way to do it is to show everybody every possible way they can do it. Get a few trial mock runs so other states are prepared, ready to mobilize. And then when I go after a tower, probably going to be 6, 7, 8 other people going after a tower, instead of just one isolated incident where you end up locked up for a little while. They can't keep you forever, though. Like I told the feds, you wouldn't be able to keep me. On what charge? Who's the victim? There's no victim in what I do. The only thing that gets victimized is the problem. The lies get exposed. So yeah, it makes people mad that they can't deceive others anymore. Got a little mini moped coming through here in a second. I can't tell. I can tell you with Norman, there's like some of the same corruption that you see in other places. I've been actually chilling with all the homeless on the street. So there's a particular law enforcement officer. Eventually God always puts me on a path with these guys, but got my eyes out for a certain law enforcement officer that's abused in his position of authority. And the homeless will give you a lot of information, man, and they're not sitting there talking to me trying to pretend like they're victims or anything. I mean, they'll sit there and do their dope right in front of me. I know I'm a street pastor. They don't, what I mean? They don't have to pretend to be something because they're worried about what I think about them. They already know right away when I go up to them, man, God loves you. I love you. What do you need? They're my people, and they know that. So when they tell me certain officers are doing certain things, especially women, we've had officers that would make women do sexual favors instead of arresting them. And some of these homeless women, they're scared, and they're vulnerable. And who's going to believe them? It's their word against the cop in some cases. So there's various ways that our society has victimized those that are already marginalized. We'd love for the sheriff's office in Norman to actually come and explain, a few things to me, because there's certain things they can be doing to make the community safer and more hygienic and better for the homeless. Poor homeless out here, man. If you ain't got $1.50 for a cup of coffee, you can't use the restroom in most gas stations. If you can't buy nothing, you can't use their restroom. They have no porta-johns around. So there's a lot of stuff that we would love to help Norman with, even if they are corrupt. We want to make them less corrupt. We want to make it good for all people. We advocate for the homeless. We advocate for the drug addicts. We advocate for the moms and dads having their kids taken away by the government. I mean, we don't believe the state is the solution. We believe our Lord and Savior is the solution. Well, we know it too. One thing to believe it, it's another thing to believe it and know it and then act upon it. Got you, Lori. I'm getting ready to take a break here in a minute, too. We'll be going live out here again in a little bit. We are on Tower Watch. We're keeping pressure up here at Oklahoma University. If you're just getting here and you're seeing the end of this, please call 911. Tell the Sheriff's Department there's an emergency at Oklahoma University's North Campus. That an independent investigative journalist is there, a victim looking at weapons that were utilized and doing everything in our power to shut these weapons down. If you're not aware of that, look up the USAP operations, United States Antarctica Project. Look up weather weapons, stratospheric aerosol injections. Angels don't play this harp. Thank you guys for all your support. We love you guys. VOP News, God is good. Gotta go.